All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Megalo Season 2, Episode 7. Okay.
All right, that was a really good last episode. We got to see Joe doing a lot for these kids, helping them out. And yet, it's kind of a little bit late,
It is.
So they kind of talked about together, okay, where are we at?
This is what happened.
Should we do anything different?
Yeah.
Do we need him? Yeah, it's some good questions right now because they have all figured out their own dynamics.
Yep.
But specifically for Sachio, his was one that was not sustainable. But not only that, he was doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Doing it for all the wrong reasons, and on top of that, you just about ruined your friend's life.
Yeah. So Joe might have saved everything, but it didn't necessarily need to be in a bad way that needed to be saved from.
Right. It's
the origins of that problem were of your making.
Exactly. Yeah. Joe cleaned up your mess.
Right.
It's not enough to erase the past, of course, because that can't happen. But it was something,
And it was something that came at cost to Joe.
Right.
So if we wanted to have some reconciliation, this could be the start of it.
Yep.
Now they might have to go chase after him, but
and maybe only one of them would be willing to do that. But
we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Whoa.
常に考えて5年前にギアレス城を破って以来第2回メガロニアで優勝
Wow
今や名実ともにキングオブキングスとなりましたね
Good stuff
本人はまだユーリさんを超えてないと言って
He's still young probably
そりゃ謙遜でしょう
His gear feels very similar to Yuri's old gear
過去のユーリさんの防衛記録を振り返った今他の誰がキングをなるかって言うんです
ってことはつまり劉選手の焦点はあくまでも首相超えマック選手は眼中にないと
さあどうでしょうか
規格外といえば元祖がいましたよね
Oh
Huh
ギアレス城戻ってきてますよこの町に
Cool. I
you
love
cheeky
this.
little dickwaffle.
Yeah, I love this little development. Just like,
Just trying to sort of stoke the fires,
Yeah.
Little prod here and there.
Right.
スパーリングパートナーならすでに用意してある
お願いしますもう一度ジョーとやりたい
Oh shit.
お前は勝った
Just like that.
Yeah.
待ってくださいあの時はあなたと戦った時のあいつじゃなかった
Think 5 more years will change that?
Oh, he never thought he actually beat him.
ジョーとスパーリングをやらせてください
ユーさんユーリさんはあなたと共に戦うために一度は捨てたメガロボックスの世界に戻ってきたんですそのことをお忘れですか
傲慢ですつまらないプライドにこだわって
As someone that bore the consequences of losing.
Yeah.
栄光の道を歩き続けるがゆえに全てを失う恐怖にとらわれるリュウさんは本能的に今度の試合にそれを感じているのではないですかね
Could be.
マックへの不安を打ち消すために
昔私に話してくれましたよね危険を承知でギアを外しジョーと同じ条件で戦ったことをみじんも後悔していない
Hell yeah.
どうもご無沙汰してます引退して大工に転職したわけじゃないよな
Okay.
ここって前は家のないガキたちを引き取って面倒見てたんですよね俺との試合はそのために受けてくれたんですか
要件はなんだこっちも忙しいんだ
Dang, he's set up.
Yep.
俺のスパーリングパートナーをお願い
Whoa.
どうして俺がユーリはこのこと知ってるのか
ユーリさんは関係ないこれは俺とあんたの問題だあんたは俺に借りがある一つ目は最低のコンディションでリングに
He's seen all this.
シチュエーションマッチだからって俺を侮ったことあんたら二人は賭け値のない試合をして思い残すことはないだろうけどこっちはそのとばっちりもろに食らったんだあんたは謝りながら俺の足思い切り踏みつけたんですよ
Interesting. Okay.
の借りをなかったこと するつもりはない。けど今の俺とやり合ったところで
何もかも捨てて逃げ出したくせに、あんたはメガロボックスだけは捨てられなかった。あんたがリングを降りるときはこの世とおさらばするときだ。
Damn.
Not dead yet.
I'm not giving us the answer.
All right. Okay.
All right.
逃げ遅れた子供を助けた際に流れ弾を受け脊髄損傷とな
Oh
り
shit.
全身不随という大きな代償を払うことになった。彼に希望の手が差し伸べられた。そ
Wow.
の人物とは
He
脳
was-
神経工学という分野から医療技術に革命を起こしてきた若き天才起業家ロスコ CEO 佐久間龍吾氏だった。
So
我々は以前から
he's gonna be fused entirely with his gear, probably.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
ブレインエンコーディングシステム、通
Shit.
称ベスです。脳内に埋め込まれたチップからの信号が人工神経経路となるアシストギアに伝達され
Wow.
可能となります。
Okay.
このベスプロジェクトに協力を申し出てくれたのが
Yeah.
白戸コンツェルン
Yeah.
CEO
Yukiko.
白戸由紀子氏でした。
Yep.
そんな時佐久間さんから言われたんです。もう一度メガロボックスをやってみないかって。
Oh.
ロスコ所属のボクサーとして再びリングに立ったマックス選手は以前とは一変して感情を
Now he's probably unstoppable.
勝利を重ね続けた。
ゾーンに入れば
Uh-huh.
最高のパフォーマンスが自然に出て相手は倒れているんです。
Okay.
家族のこともありますし復帰は悩みました。
Oh.
ですが現役時代の俺を息子は知らないんです。
いよいよタイトルマッチが決まりましたね。
Here we go.
もちろん妻に、それから佐久間さん、
Oh, yeah.
俺にとっては試合に勝利することが、それが今の俺にできる唯一の恩返しです。
Okay.
So he's the crowd favorite by a long shot.
Yeah.
見返りなんて求めてない。そう言ったんですが、僕こそ彼に成長させてもらったようなもんですよ。
Sure. The perfect story.
人間は美しい。以前おっしゃってましたね。
そんなこと言いましたっけ？今度の試合はどっちを応援します？ゆうりさんの愛弟子のリュウ選手か？いや、すみません。もう試合に興味なんて
Of course not.
I love her new haircut, though.
確かに我
Yeah,
が
it's
社
pretty
は
sweet.
メガロボックス関連事業から手を引きましたが、ギアの可能性を否定したわけではありません。次の試合でベスの有用性が証明できるのなら、マック選手を応援するとお答えします。
All right. Okay.
マックは希望の灯火なんです。暗闇から抜け出せない多くの人たちがベスの
Uh-huh.
実用化を待ってます。
Yeah, and Joe is someone that's come out of that darkness into the light recently. So this will be interesting. Hey,
来てくれてありがとうございます、ミスター・ジョー。
Mr. Joestar.
俺で役に立てるなら
Oh, one dog recognizes another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
道具は奥の部屋だ。
Oh, yep, yep.
久しぶりだってのに変わらねえな。ユーリ。
Very straightforward acknowledgement. I like it.
Yep.
All right, after hours, let's go.
いつでもどうぞ。
Damn, look at all that hair.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, woo, woo. Woo, Edison. Edison's giving him work.
リュウ、出し惜しみする。
Oh
Oh,
shit. He's
wow.
filming this whole thing. Oh! He hit the pad though. That was.
静かにしろって。
We are not supposed to be here.
Shit. Yeah.
バカなんだよ。現実ってのは。
もう止めましょう、ジミーさん。
Yeah.
It's just cruel.
ユーリさん、あの目を見てください。
He's excited. Oh!
あんたは俺が生み出した幻だったんだ。
Oh! Glancing blow on the chin. His brain just bounced there.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. All right.
同じ条件じゃなきゃ心残りにな。
I would know. All right.
Oh!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, animation, let's go!
Run like hell.
いいさ。あいつのおかげであんたとやり合えたんだ。
Yeah, nice.
逃げられたみたいだな。
Dog's like, I failed you, Yuri.
Yeah.
I did not smell them.
But what would have happened if that hadn't been interrupted?
マックとの試合が終わったら次はあんたとだ。
Okay.
光栄だよ。俺にはまだやらなきゃいけないことがあるんだ。
わかった。そいつが片付いたらリングで会おう。
Wow, I love it.
Right.
I love it.
すごかったよ。
Uh-huh.
昔の強かったジョーが戻ってきたみたいでさ。
Sachio doesn't like to hear that.
だいたいあんたさ、あいつに恥かかせるいい方法があるって言ってたよね。これ逆じゃん。
まあその辺はさ、臨機応変に行こうよ。
金になりそうなら平気で俺たちを裏切るくせに。
前だってジョーを追い出したこと黙ってたろ。あ、敵に味方あり、味方に敵ありってのもあったわ。
No.
I regret nothing.
Secret sparring session? What? And she's even seeing this. His newspaper's popping then.
Oh, you bet it is.
Or at least his article in the newspaper. You know, it's probably not his newspaper, you know.
Yeah.
どうして笑ってるの？
Oh! Whoa! I was not ready for that!
Yeah. Me neither.
夢みたいです。俺がこの場所にいるなんて。
その夢はあなたが見せてくれたんです。続きを見たいのはもう僕だけじゃない。
Okay.
Oh shit! Sons of Roscoe. Oh. Whoa.
That's gotta be a
Yeah.
whole other layer of pressure.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, cool. The great way to end the episode.
Awesome.
Love it.
Now this beautiful
God, the way they
lady-
went so hard on the music there.
Yeah.
Like, just suddenly like looking at his family and then suddenly like da-da-da-da-da-da.
Like, there's the music where it's like, where it makes the request of like, please bop to this.
Right,
And then
right.
there's the music that's like, you will bop to this.
It's like, yes, it's going to go so hard. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, Titan. Da-da-da-da-da, 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 Titan. All right, okay. So we get some time getting to know Edison Liu, the current champion right now, but also the one that really feels a bit like he didn't get a real match with Gearless Joe.
Yep.
Because he saw the Yuri match versus Gearless Joe.
Yeah, he knows what that was like.
And that was not what he got. He was hoping for that. But ever since then, even in the other side of things where Mac Rosario has all this emotional aspects to his story, Edison doesn't really have the like notoriety that I think he would like for being like the one that defeated Joe.
Right.
Because it was an exhibition match, and also I think people were able to tell that wasn't really
Joe was not
Joe at 100%.
Yeah, something was off about that one.
Yeah, exactly.
And also on top of that, he's being trained by Yuri.
Right.
Which, so it's like there's a couple different reasons for why people aren't necessarily going to see him as just him.
Well, just he's not able to see himself really as someone that's worthy of being in this spot. And,
okay.
And not only that, just like I want a real fight, Joe. Like I'm not even really thinking about Mac here. Now we've seen, because we've seen a lot of Ippo, that's actually very dangerous.
Yes.
To not be thinking about the person that you're going to fight immediately from here is a bit of a problem, because you can then end up getting distracted and focused on, something that you won't even necessarily have access to. But what I love about this is because it doesn't matter whether Edison wins or loses in order to face Joe afterwards. Literally, this fight could go either way.
Okay, that's a good point.
There's a perfect setup of stakes here, and that it doesn't matter who wins here for the story to have Edison, fight Joe in another exhibition match after this. It literally doesn't matter.
That's a great point. I get the feeling that Edison is going to win here because that'll
I'd throw out here. I think Mac's going to win.
Okay, if he does, awesome. If he does, fantastic, right? Yeah. Because that I'm looking at this basically from the standpoint of where is the emotional, where are my sympathies being directed?
Yeah.
And then does that mean that we're going for the triumph, right, of the character whose sympathies are being directed to, in this case, Mac, right? And then it's, hey, way to go, man, you did it. Yeah. Or is it the, shit, you did so good, you fought hard, right? But you didn't get it today, right?
Right. The reason why I think it makes sense to predict the way you're doing it is that Mac's emotional story has nothing to do with Joe.
Right.
It is really nothing to do with the main character. Thus, in a lot of ways,
it's more hype if Joe is fighting Edison when he is still at the top, as opposed to after he's just been beaten, But
I don't know. I feel like actually, to me, in some ways, I think it would feel better that two losers would face each other
for and
having been broken down from their point. Yeah,
right, because you're talking about the emotional stakes of the fight being much higher, as opposed to the hype of the best of the best,
Right, because Joe's not that.
Right.
I think Mac could probably beat Joe.
Sure, right. It has been
easily.
Right, even though Joe still has that fiery spirit and whatnot, and can definitely surprise you with a counter if you're not careful.
He's a really quick, I would say, outboxer.
Right, but
from what we know, yeah.
But it's still been 5 years since the match that he lost, right? Yes. And even if he's worked to recover and things like that, all of those drugs that he was pumping into his system, I'm sure didn't do any favors for his body in the long run.
And that hasn't been some grand period of time a long time
exactly.
ago. This is all happening rather quickly.
Yep. And one of the things that I also love about this is that at the towards the beginning of the season, right, when they established the idea of Edison Liu and that he had beaten Joe before
in an exhibition match, yeah.
In an exhibition match, it's okay, it seemed pretty obvious that Joe is going to fight Edison Liu again, at the end of the season or something like that, right? Okay, cool. And here we have it set up of, no, after this match, we are going to be fighting. So that is is concretely established now.
Right.
Awesome. It's something where, though, at the beginning of the season, I was wondering, how are we going to have stakes for that? Because since we're going on this awesome intimate journey with Joe, as he is finding his way, he's lost, and and all of that stuff.
Right.
Edison has no place in that, right? There is
nothing.
There is no reason for Edison to have any screen time in that first half of the season, because it is so not about him, right?
Yep.
But now that we're actually getting into this, and we can
in the second half of the season.
Now we're in the second half of the season, and we can see how it is actually going to mean a lot to Edison in particular to have this fight.
Yep.
And then also by having this other fight with Mac, we can
build up the hype.
We can build up the hype emotionally for what the fight will mean for Liu when he actually gets to the point where he gets to fight Joe again. Because even if it was something where it's oh, I hear you're back in town, let's fight, you'd have to have a lot of exposition time to do what they've done here in more of a showing manner because he has a fight, right? So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and so this episode then is probably one of the slower episodes in that regard, because you need to give a lot of exposition to give us a little bit of context as to what did the Mac Rosario made a miraculous comeback line that was a little throwaway line back in the beginning of the season, to be oh, no. He was a Megalo boxer that was just kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
He won a bunch, he lost a bunch, but his thing was that he would constantly get up and keep going. So he's a survivor. He's kind of got that Ippo spirit of where he can always bring this thing back. Yeah, he's a scrapper. I love it as well because his style of boxing, it seems, and the way his body looks and stuff like that makes him a perfect antithesis to Edison Liu.
Sure.
But the idea that he's the one that now has all the company backing because he's exporting the new experimental technology that is not to give him an edge in boxing, but is just to give him a way in which he can then have control of his body again, which is such a cool parallel for where things have been going with Joe, who has been in the darkness of despair as he's been basically debilitated by his own internal stuff. Now he's getting back into things. He's getting his body working for him rather than against him.
Yep.
This is a cool way in some ways to show that Mac is the perfect warm-up, if you will, for Edison to fight Joe. Now, I would say, personally, the idea of Mac losing makes us emotionally care about the idea of, oh, you made this comeback and you came so far, and everyone's still going to cheer for you no matter what, so go, bro, you got this. And they did a really cool thing with the family and all the other stuff to make us emotionally care about Mac, even though we don't really care about him as much as Joe.
Right.
Or
he doesn't.
Even in some ways, Edison.
Right.
Like,
he's a nice parallel to Joe's journey in some thematic ways, but he has no direct actual plot connection. Right. Like, they are probably never going to talk.
Oh, yeah, they might at the end of this.
Right.
But I what I really love about this is that if Mac wins, though, if Mac wins, what we get is basically another parallel where Joe can see someone who made that comeback actually thrive, actually bring everything back all the way around.
All right.
So that doesn't then just build up the idea for Edison getting excited about fighting Joe. It builds up the idea maybe on some level for us of Joe fighting Edison, because then he could win against Edison.
And another way that this could make it even more interesting for the fight with Edison is that there's a lot of... I feel like there's a fair amount of similarities between the Edison Liu versus Mac fight and Joe's fight with Liu back then.
Okay, yeah.
And if Edison loses, then that's something where it could also be a situation where maybe he gets so rattled by that because he was not expecting to lose this fight, right? It was so under the radar for him, right?
Yep.
That then Joe is also fighting a past version of himself that ended up making him go down that dark path.
And he can stop Edison from going that direction.
Right. And then
by being like, hey, let's bond in this moment of ours beating the shit out of each other.
And then that's also what the life that the fight takes on, you know?
And then they can almost find a new found family of sorts with each other through the shared connection with Yuri as well.
Yeah.
And form a new boxing kind of, little organization or something like that.
Because I feel
that'd be a cool way to end it.
Right. And I feel like that would also share some similarities with the fight with Yuri back in season 1, because their whole thing is because they came from such completely and utterly different backgrounds, right? But when it came to boxing, they were a kindred spirit in that regard, but then also with the idea of wanting to have it be more like go back to the roots of true boxing, not Megalo boxing, right? Fighting gearless. And that resonated strongly enough with Yuri that he was willing to undergo the crazy surgery to remove this cybernetic thing that had been fused with his body.
Yuri will always be one of my favorite characters in this story, literally because of that whole thing.
Oh yeah,
that was
so
cool.
metal. Like it was awesome.
Yeah.
And so that could potentially be a similar kind of theme. I don't know if theme is the right word, but avenue of getting at the characters, you know, with Liu and Joe.
Yeah, and then they have a nice sparring match. We get to see a lot of their styles. We get to see also in a lot of ways something that I think was very much a meta story thing of showing how similar they fight. And that was when they showed the different camera angles to see that their movements were actually mirrors of each other.
Gotcha.
And that's something that I feel like
they get off, they throw off the protective gear, and then they both punch each other at the exact same time.
Right. Yeah, they were doing some really cool stuff in that regard. But we also have this B plot line of Santa,
which
getting the story, which I love that scoop gets put into the newspaper, which then gets passed around to all these big characters that are excited for the Mac and Edison fight. But then they're like, oh, well, this is interesting.
Like as far as a clever meta way to have a character, one of the kids basically go on their own journey of learning to accept Joe again.
Yes.
But at the same time,
they're kind of poking it.
Oh no, totally.
Yeah.
But at the same time, solve some of the complicated plot issues that you can have come up in a story like this, where it's
short.
Especially in a short one where you have to deal with that quickly. Of how do we get all those characters from the first season aware and back into the fold of things, right? Even Shirato's brother, right? Where it's how does that work? What if we made him a reporter? And he specifically goes and and prods Edison to be like, hey, Joe's back in town, you know, and then they start sparring, and then he of course
like,
secretly right, exactly, you know, I'll take this potato chip and eat it, and then he records the fight and, you know, and all that stuff. Like,
makes an article with pictures and stuff.
It's just good stuff, because it's a ton of fun for me to watch, because I'm like, hell yeah, you go, kid, right? And also, oh shit, don't get caught, right, because you know they're
it's like Bonjour, what the fuck, dude?
Right, you had one job, man, to bring you along in this, and you do that. You know, they might have actually finished that sparring match, like, but then there's also the idea of he is the least emotionally tied up because of the stuff that happened with Joe in the past. So it's very much a thing of like it's a lot more cold and practical, like, hey, you kind of screwed us back then by leaving, right? Can you make it right? Well, helping me line my pocketbooks and helping me with my career
makes it a little
stuff,
easier.
You know, yeah, exactly. We're good. Quid pro quo, you know, all that stuff, right? It's
and then they get awesome seats at like the front of the match. Mac made a nice little like stare down at Joe though, so I'm actually curious to see if he's like, oh,
the legend's here. All right,
I have to take this really seriously now.
Yeah, like this is I was already taking this seriously, but like.
If this guy's here,
whoa,
shit!
Like it's that extra sobering reminder of,
I'm here.
Right. Like
yeah.
You know,
I want the underdog to win.
Oh yeah,
I want Mac to win. Like That's my prediction. He's gonna win.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I also really liked that, so there was this part in my mind while I'm watching the episode, and we're seeing how Mac has changed. How much of that change is could some of it potentially be the device, you know, helping him like be in control of his emotions, basically, or how much of it is the progress that was made as a result of basically losing everything?
Okay.
Right. And then that internal change that he has then been able to make, so that then he keeps a cool head in the ring, and then as a result of that, he wins all his matches. And because then, especially if he wins this fight, that feels like it could be like a nice example of when you're in that bad place and you manage to win that internal battle, these are some of the benefits and the rewards that you can reap as a result of it.
Yeah.
You know, like I thought that was kind of a fun little thing that was thrown in there.
Yeah,
but,
I mentioned a form of that earlier, but yeah, that's something that I want to see happen for Joe. Like,
right.
See, and that it's a thing that Joe's gonna see that, and thus then that story by osmosis comes into contact with him. He you know, incorporate some aspects of that. I'm just really excited. But yeah, this was an exposition kind of setup episode. We get to fight next episode right at the beginning.
I'm very much ready for it.
So like, give it to us. Give it to my veins. Inject it. And then we also had some really good animation on the sparring.
We did. There was
really good.
There was the animation in the first half where like Joe like was just getting kind of warmed up, you know, and that was cool and snappy and really fast and dynamic.
But then the music set up.
And then once Joe started getting more serious, the animation got like better. That was awesome.
So cool. But yeah, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all of this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.